Get ready for success. Leadership Strategies for Women is a show dedicated to providing practical and valuable strategies for emerging women leaders of today. It's your time to get inspired, motivated, and challenged to achieve your vision for success. And now, here's leadership speaker and coach, Ellie Nieves.
This is the Leadership Strategies for Women podcast, and I am your host, Ellie Nieves. I'm the founder and president of Leadership Strategies for Women, where I develop seminars and webinars to help high-achieving women show up, speak up, and step up in their careers. To learn more, please visit my website at leadershipstrategiesforwomen.com, or you can also follow the Leadership Strategies for Women page on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Here to talk to us about bringing diverse voices together is Jenn Graham. Jenn Graham is on a mission to design a more inclusive world. An activist, designer, and civic tech entrepreneur, Jenn Graham is the founder and CEO of Inclusivv, bringing diverse voices together for conversations that matter. Since starting Inclusivv as a social experiment in Atlanta, Jenn has built a global team and a digital platform that has already enabled thousands of conversations around the world, both in person and virtual. Her clients range from Facebook to Coca-Cola, including beloved organizations such as the King Center, Sierra Club, and the Aspen Institute. Featured as a 2020 World-Changing Woman in Conscious Business by Conscious Media Company, and recognized by the Atlanta Business Chronicle as a Small Business Person of the Year Rising Star in 2019, Jenn's work has also been recognized by President Barack Obama and has received numerous awards for social impact and creative community engagement. Jenn, welcome to the Leadership Strategies for Women podcast.
Thank you so much, Ellie, for having me. I'm excited.
So Jenn, tell us a little bit about your background. Tell us something that we don't already know from your bio.
Oh, wow. I'd say I'm a community organizer at heart, and I was a graphic designer by trade. And so really, I ultimately stumbled into this work literally on my way to work. I had a bike accident and hit a parallel grate that catapulted me into community organizing. And I learned that, in order to really move people to take action, you have to meet them with the emotional heart, and you have to give them an opportunity to participate, to see themselves as part of the solution. And so what started as a journey of bike advocacy here in Atlanta that really helped cut my teeth on community organizing ultimately led me to the formula of Inclusivv, which is you've got to be able to involve everyone in the movement and give people time to be able to connect to it by sharing their own story of relevance and story of self, and then understand the shared challenges that we're all working with and working towards, and then create a sense of urgency for action. So we've really woven in the public narrative and trying to use that as a tool for change. And I've been able to embed a little bit of the organizing from event planning and organizing, as well as graphic design, and using storytelling as a real way to move people to take action.
So what was the catalyst? What made you decide to launch your company?
I'd say it's a bit of frustration with the status quo. I'd say ultimately I had spent 5 years in design in the corporate world, helping companies design real big promises, and then oftentimes not having the real work of culture change to be able to truly drive it forward. And I saw that in various components, even from helping grow TEDx Atlanta to a pretty well-known and established entity, but then realizing that we weren't able to engage the audience as much as we would like. And so I knew that we really had to think about less monologue and more dialogue in order to really bring everybody into the fold, into the way of culture change. And I know one of my favorite quotes is that in order to change a culture, you have to change the stories. And that means allowing every voice to be heard. And so what compelled me originally was this need for more intimate dialogues in small groups. And we piloted it in Atlanta first, because everything, especially I recommend female entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in general, always test and validate ideas before you leave your day job and see how it flies. And it caught on. People were craving human connection. And previously we were known as civic dinners. And it was as simple as gathering people together in small groups of 6 to 10 people for a shared meal, either in a restaurant or home, and then having a structured dialogue where we provided the guide and the 3 big questions and allowed everybody equal time to share with one voice at a time. And there were no experts. There was no expectation of anybody being an expert on the topic. It was about bringing your own lived experience. And I looked around and there were no other real models that allowed for this. But going back in time, these talking circles are ancient. This is how ideas have spread over from the campfire all the way to TED Talks. So, but I feel we've landed on something that is now meaningful for individuals when they participate, but also to companies. We found that more through our work, which started in the civic space. We really want to make sure that all residents are heard when it comes to master planning, even long-term planning. And then nonprofits really want to engage their own membership and attract new members around the issues that they care about. And then most recently, companies, there's a deep desire for companies to be able to lead on these critical topics, from racial equity to mental health to women in leadership to even sustainability. But they're struggling with how to engage and what to say and how to do it in a way where every voice can be heard. And so that's the ultimate kind of the problem that we're really tackling for companies now, is how to create a sense of culture and belonging, and to do that through a meaningful conversation.
So I'm sure that your success has not come without a level of challenge. Can you share what some of those challenges are that you faced as you were striving to launch your business?
Yes, I would say, so you might hear my 1-year-old in the background. I don't know. Being a mother of 2 young children, a 3.5-year-old and a 1-year-old, is a whole nother set of challenges as a female entrepreneur. And I feel, honestly, becoming a mother has made it, I think, equally as difficult to be able to work 9 or 24 hours a day. It's just impossible. But I would say it's made me smarter. It's made me a multitasker, as most women are out there. But it's also made me more empathetic as a leader. We have quite a few parents on our team, and I feel like the team is everything. Really leaning on the team when you grow, and it comes with growing pains. And I think especially when we grew so fast from 2020 during a pandemic, and grew to about 30, including full-time and contractors, and realized, sometimes growing that fast meant that the essential processes and structures weren't necessarily in place. And so we have had to go back and kind of iron out and systematize and get really concrete on role clarity on that. So building a team is an entire different skill set than having an idea and being and kind of manifesting that through research and design. So I feel I've learned so much as an entrepreneur, and if I could go back and do it again, there might be some changes that I would make, but to how I went about it. But I'm just so impressed with my team and how we have been able to pivot. We were 100% in person pre-pandemic, and we went within 10 days, flipped to be able to work or be able to bring people together all over the world for online conversations on these important topics, and launched new themes like grief and gratitude. And the moment that COVID hit us and created social isolation around the world, we were able to bring people back together. And looking forward into the future, we are going to be bringing people back together in person again, when people are desperate for connection and are so lonely and have mental health crises are off the charts. And so how do we play a role in really creating that sense of hope and humanity and meaningful connection at a time when people need it more than ever? So I'd say we've been feeling all of the feels through the pandemic and the racial inequity and the movements there. And it is tiring work to be in this space. And we just have to have grace with ourselves, with our team, and most of all, just keep going step by step.
So, Jenn, why is it so important to talk about topics like race and mental health and allyship in the workplace?
It is essential, I'd say. It's right now, there's, like I said, there are a few things around mental health that impact us more than the injustices that we're witnessing and so on. And people are bringing this with them, whether they're working from home or they're in person. They're bringing these themes and ideas and what they read and see with them to the workplace. And if they're impacting, there's this one study that shared that a single incidence of micro exclusion can lead to a 25% decrease in an individual's performance on a team immediately. And so these micro exclusion examples are often unconscious and done so without really understanding the impact on the bottom line of a company. And so that's why it's really important for companies to do the essential work around unconscious bias training and development. And that is crucial and important, whether you do a live in-person training with a DEI consultant or you do online learning. But what we have found is that real lasting long-term change happens when you allow people to be able to take that knowledge they just learned in a training or a video and actually put it into practice by, through actual dialogue with others, with their peers, or even peers in other companies around the world. And so our model and our functionality is being able to take concepts that are quite heavy and to distill them into really almost narratives that we break down into stories and allow people to bring their own lived experience when they have either been a part of this before, or either have witnessed it or seen or been impacted by it personally, and then addressing the shared challenges and then identifying small actions that they can take, either how to be a better ally, how to show up for others, how to uplift others, and maybe even what policies should change either in the workplace or at the state, local, community level, and how to become advocates for those changes.
That's wonderful. Great work.
Thank you.
So, Jenn, we are amid this great resignation. If you read the Wall Street Journal, everybody knows that there's this mass exodus away from the workplace. And this is such an important topic today because the reason why people are walking away from the workplace is very telling. A lot of people are feeling disenfranchised, or they're feeling like they don't receive the right level of empathy at work. How can empathy actually help leadership? And what does the future of empathy look like?
Oh, wow. I was just at a breakfast this morning with a futurist, and she talked about the pace of change and the acceleration of the change that we have witnessed. We saw, for example, that the advance in a vaccine typically takes 10 to 15 years, and we saw it created in 8 to 10 months. And so we're seeing and we've seen the digital transformation alone, where we cut a 5-year transition down to 6 or 60 days, where majority of businesses transition to fully online. So the reality is that changes is the constant. Change is the only constant, and things are going to be reinvented. And I think empathy is one of those skills that will always and only be human. And we have to make sure that we flex what makes us human and what makes us non-replaceable, because the truth is 50% of the jobs in the future are going to be automated. And how do we start to build and strengthen what makes us unique through our human connection? And human capital will be the next era. This is like from, back in even less than 100 years ago, we were 100% industrial. And now we're moving to a pure human capital. How can you add value through your creativity? But creativity is a very intangible thing, and you have to have the right psychological safety and environment in order to have peak creativity and to have collaboration with one another. And so managers are having to learn the skills and the art of deeply understanding and supporting one another. And that means that that's a shift in leadership from top-down hierarchy to bottom-up voice and appreciation, and more coaching and more just more about like supporting and creating that environment where creativity can thrive and where innovation explores new ways and new business models. Because the truth is, like, things are changing. Business models are having to shift on a dime to respond to customer needs and respond to what the environment is. And so that requires more comfort with uncertainty. And uncertainty is not, I'd say, humanity's greatest strength. And some of us need more practice with uncertainty, and sometimes even getting in a room with strangers and having a conversation on challenging topics is practice in real time, exploration, and not knowing what you're going to say out loud and not knowing what your other peers might say out loud, and that fear. So how can we help kind of get over that, allow us grace and also the opportunity to practice empathy, really the importance of living within another person's shoes and being able to walk in their shoes and hear their stories. That storytelling is the secret way to strengthening empathy. And once you are able to, it's the difference between sympathy and empathy, which is there's quite a big difference. But until you've actually heard someone's story, that's what creates the emotional connection and the actual sensation of being in that person's experience. And that is what changes the heart, and therefore changes the mind, and allows us to really re-look at some of the policies and things that are in place within our organizations, within our society at whole. So it's an opportunity to shift the mind and prepare for more flexibility and adaptability in the future.
What advice do you have for other entrepreneurs out there?
Oh gosh. Know that you're not alone, and know that you always have people out there that will believe in you and that are rooting for you, and that if you ask, make sure that you write a list of your needs and be willing to put that list out there to share with your network, your advisors, your family and friends, and ask for help when you need it. I'm a big believer in manifestation, but for it to work, you have to write what you need and put it out into the universe. I would say, so lean heavily on that. I would say the other one, the next thing is make sure that you stay close with your customers, and always make sure that you are filling a real need, and that you're able to adapt to their changing needs. And so one thing that we're learning and that we're doing is constantly engaging with our customers, asking new questions, even going back and asking the same questions we asked 6 months ago to see if there's a change in their situation or how our product is helping them meet their needs. And know that they are the heartbeat of every company. They are the heartbeat of growth. And then make sure that if you're focusing on your customers and providing value and they're happy, then they're going to help refer other customers, and they're going to be your biggest fans and biggest advocates. And that's been the case for us. Like our super users, the ones that show up and help pilot our conversations, are our customers. They are the ones that believe in what we're doing. And so find your super users, nurture them. And same thing with your team. Nurture your team, find ways to celebrate the small wins as much as the big wins, because sometimes when you're in a startup and wearing 10 different hats, from finance to accounting to sales and marketing, it's a lot. But make sure that you slow down at least once a week to appreciate all of the things that are working well, and thank those that are on your team.
So what's next for you?
What's next? Great question. We feel like we are at a true inflection point with our new name, Inclusivv, that we rebranded in July. It is resonating, and it is setting us up for global expansion. We are also in the middle of our in the middle of teeing off our Series A. We are kind of testing out quite a few potential directions that we can go in still. So we successfully pivoted last year to online. We're starting to go back in person. We also have new content streams that we're building, learning journeys, from our Inclusivv series that now spans 30 different topics, to our equity series, which is perfect for communities, to our future of work series, which is about how do we work in a remote when our workforce is remote, and how do we build culture and community in that environment? And then also sustainability, as we heard at the COP conference in Glasgow. Sustainability and climate change is really the next big conversation that we need to be having as a global community, and this is the one that we need to act on. And so we've built out new almost 50 plus topics that are really relevant right now, and then we also have a couple new features on our platform that really help us move conversation into action. And that has been the core purpose of our work. We know that conversation is meant to be a spark. It's not the end all be all. It is the spark that creates empathy, that leads to greater understanding, that leads ultimately to commitment to take action. And that is, the action part is where we really want to start to see and track movement, and to see the change. Back to my community organizing background, like that is ultimately why I started Civic Dinners, now Inclusivv. And this need for being able to see real change happen either at the local level or at the national level. That's where we're going to look at the momentum and be able to see the change that we want to see in the world. And so I feel we have this great momentum going, focusing on how we help build a more inclusive and sustainable world, and what that might look like in a year from now or 2 years from now. It's constantly evolving. And we are excited, though, staying true to the mission and building the best team.
So how can our listeners get in touch with you?
They can reach out. We are all on social media. You can find us on our website at inclusivv.co, 2 V's, inclusive, no E, .co, or on social media on Instagram, inclusivv.co, or Twitter, Facebook, Inclusivv. You can find me on LinkedIn, Jenn Graham at Inclusivv. And I would love, we are looking for fabulous companies that are really looking to create more inclusive cultures. And so if you want to help us by trying out our conversation platform, go to inclusivv.co, find a conversation to attend. We have new signature events almost each week that are launching. And then we also have a membership that is going to become available starting in 2022. And so find more ways of hosting your own or joining one, or bring us internally to your company or your community. And we'd love to work with you.
Well, Jenn, thank you so much for taking the time today to educate our listeners about being more inclusive and about having conversations that matter.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ellie. It's been great.
Thank you. And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, God bless.